March 12th, 2020 order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law in the governor's March 15th, 2020 order, imposing strict limitation on number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southborough Taxation Aid Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right or requirement to attend the meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to attend or participate may do so by finding the meeting at southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording as soon as possible. Okay, so why don't we start by approving the March 10th minutes that Brian sent around yesterday? I think the day before. Did I lose you guys?
Nope.
Oh, good.
You guys okay?
Can't figure out how to bring you back. Oh, there you are. Everybody okay? Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay, well, I understand one thing. The I and the E is interchanged in my name, Brian.
I am so sorry. I think that's me. I've done that like so many times. Can you teach me a secret to remember? Because sometimes I remember to double check and other times I don't.
That's okay. It happens
We can
often.
fix that.
I am
It's the
sorry.
opposite. You know what it is? It's the opposite of me.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, we can fix that though, Al.
Everybody on this group is unique and different and they spell their names opposite. All right, I got it. I won't make that mistake again. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're not going to go into executive session, Brian. We're just gonna.
Yeah, I didn't really think we needed to, because we're kind of keeping the conversation general enough that if we were talking about specific people with specific addresses and everything, I'd change my mind, but we're not, so I think we're okay.
Okay. Well, your efforts were really fruitful.
Yeah, so I hope everyone had a chance to look at that. I apologize. It was a little late, but, so we got 4 new ones. Obviously not new because they're the same from last year, but new from what was originally done. And again, in talking to the people, Liz was correct, or whoever said it, that they just weren't aware this year because of the way things are.
Okay.
And they totally forgot about it, or just, it's been a nutty year. So, great idea to go back to these folks and talk to them again. I'm not sure what everyone else thinks, but I 2 of these, and I'm sorry, I didn't note it, are disability ones. Number 7 and number 10 are disability. You may remember that from last year too. I'm not sure I see any problem ones on this list.
The only question I had was number 8, and it's the length of residence. And I don't mind waiving it, but I just want to make sure that that's clear, that would be the only question I would have about the applicants.
I thought someone was going to ask that. And I think, Liz, if you remember last year, we talked about this one. And I think we did waive it last year because it was 2.5 last year.
Mhm.
So now it's 3.5. So, I'm willing to waive it too. I don't know if anyone has an issue, but.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I just want to make sure that we were clear in that.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with it either. The only thing I was thinking, maybe for next year, we might ask a few more specific questions, because number 8 didn't say very much. It says, thank you for the help for paying the taxes. The others gave us some indication of whatever reason they had the problem or needed the help. They didn't give us much help on that. And that's the only thing that on that it bothered me at all.
I think that's a good point, Hal. I think one suggestion I'd make before next year is that we do kind of change that area, maybe try to get people to be a little more, specific. Because I'd like to hear the circumstances too, and it's helpful, you know, so.
Can I make a suggestion for next year for what we do? And so we had an assessors meeting yesterday, and I brought up what's happening here with this committee.
Yeah.
And Paul and Corinne, who both work in assessors, are very willing to assist and help reaching people and, contacting applicants that have, applied before and maybe forget. So that's one thing. Another, factor would be, maybe look at, because there is more information, to your point, Hal, on some of those deferments, not so much deferments, I'm sorry, but credits that people can get for tax purposes through the assessor's office. And so maybe that application maybe reflects and mirrors this application similar, where it does require a little more information from people that other than just what you're saying, thanks for the help. This, it helps relieve the assessor's application does require, it's not that much longer. I think it's still one page, but there is still a few more things that people have to put in there.
Mhm.
So maybe that, I'm not saying we have to use the exact same application that's at the assessor's office, but maybe there's some elements in there that can be pulled out and used here to help draw out some more information, like you're saying.
Okay.
And that's all readily available. Paul is more than willing to help and, whatever's necessary, he said.
Mhm.
Cool.
And Corinne, they're both really, very, very willing to help.
And I think all those forms are online, right, Jeff?
Yeah, they should be, Brian. Yeah. So,
Does anyone have an issue with the list or?
And we're looking at the 9 because the first one, is that correct? The sale is pending. Okay.
Yes, the sale actually is going through, so that's good.
Okay, good. I did a little bit of analysis. I did an analysis if they each receive $1,500. It basically rounded out to that would pay about 23% of their taxes. So that's almost like a quarter of their taxes. So 1/4 of their taxes. That's an average, okay?
Okay.
If they were given $1,000, that would be 16%. So that's only like 1/6 of their taxes. So, in looking at that, just to give you a little perspective, of course, the gentleman or the person who had like a higher tax rate, theirs would be a little bit lower, but still they're getting some assistance. And, I would like to look at, and I don't know, I mean, here we go again, trying to balance what we have and if we can get assistance from the town trust fund. But if we did say that we wanted to do the 1,500, would it be possible that the tax aid fund would give $750 and then we would ask the town trust fund to give $750 per person, which would only mean $6,750 per fund, which I don't think is too far out of balance for that trust fund to support us.
Hang on, let me just pull up the notes. I took notes from last week's meeting in the executive session. And I thought that we were talking about 1,000 from us and then asking Nick's group to match dollar for dollar. This discussion was when we had fewer candidates than we have today, or just
So you mean give 2,000?
total, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I think what I put in my notes is we were thinking of like kind of overreaching, like asking, since we don't really have a good sense of like what Nick's committee can do, just like asking for the moon and seeing what they said.
Mhm, mhm.
But I thought that we had decided on 1,000.
I thought it was 1,000 max though for combined.
Oh,
That's what I
oh,
thought. I thought, because 2,000, that's a substantial amount. And
okay.
the other thing too is I don't know how many on this list, but I'm sure they're also getting other aid, through assessors, whether they're senior credits. So there's that also. So they'd be getting that money in addition to this money. I mean, I guess amount taken off.
Senior credit is,
I think that's 400. I forget off the top.
Do
okay,
you,
There's
sorry.
and
there's
that's,
a veterans credit, a senior's credit, disability credit.
well, it says senior tax exemption, $1,000,
That's right. Okay.
1,000. So you're
What
right,
was for-
give 1,000, that's 2,000. But we don't, do we know that? Do we know if these people are also getting that exemption too?
We don't. I want to say the ones that repeated are likely not getting it because I thought we checked that last year. And if I remember correctly, they weren't getting it.
Well,
But-
we were holding it against them if they were. That was, we were letting that happen, both ways since it was two different programs.
Right.
And I'm not saying we deny anybody that. I'm just saying if it's going to be in addition to,
Right,
I think there's a, kind of a figuring out what that is. And if these people, I kind of think that a lot of people are, Brian, but maybe I'm wrong. Only because those programs have been in effect for so long.
Yeah.
This is brand new, or it's been revived, just recently. So
do you have to apply for that every year, Jeff?
you do, yes,
Okay.
but that's the thing. So that's why I was saying that Corinne in the assessor's office, she's the deputy assessor. She gets the applicants, and if she doesn't hear from people the following year, she follows up to say, we haven't received your application yet. Please be mindful of the deadline being this. So it is very active to get those people back year after year.
Mhm.
And they're willing to do that for this program as well,
Okay.
because it's probably a lot of the same people.
Well, there is a income limit. So some people, if they're
Right.
single, may not make that income limit. And if they're married, some people may not, there's an income limit. So,
Right. But there's no income limit for veterans. There's no income limit for disability.
right, veterans is 400 and disability. I think that's the one that says amount variable.
Yeah, we've written off the whole tax liability for disability on occasion. It depends on what. So
Is
That-
that
that's-
information available to us? Can we get that information from the assessor's office?
yes, I think, yeah. I mean, Paul's never said, I can't share that, or I can't. I'm on the board of assessors. I'm on this board, so. Yeah, I think if we're looking to try to understand who these applicants are, and if they're also, going through the assessor for those, I think that would help us to determine,
Mhm.
what kind of money to provide to these people. I'm definitely not saying not to allow people to double dip. I mean, let them. I mean, it's programs are available. Why not?
I think it would help us next year if we knew, and if we ever decide we're going to give variable amounts to people, because some it may make sense in the long term if you have someone with a disability who's getting a large deduction, and we have somebody here who doesn't have one with a large tax bill, we may not always give the same amount as we did last year and are thinking about this year. So that would be useful information, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So should we do that like in the next, like, should we do that as our next step before we go meet with, should we do this before we go meet with, Nick's group so that we
We can do this. We can do this for this group because we've already signed off all of those.
okay,
You know, there's a deadline. I think April 1st is the deadline for everybody to get these in for
Mhm.
assessor. And we've been signing off on them as they've come in for the last couple of months.
okay,
So since we haven't established, how much we're going to give to all these applicants, and we're still accepting applicants, we can still, look at both lists and see what similarities there are. Who's on both lists? As I struggle to talk.
So that, Brian, that will be another column on your sheet here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
an easy one.
Yeah.
Brian, as I recall, you said we had a little bit of time to make decisions yet because you wanted to apply these to the tax bill that comes out in August. Was that right?
That's correct. So we'll probably need to have this wrapped up by, let me work backwards again. I think I said the first week of June. So we do have time. We do have time.
So we really need to make decisions by June 1st.
Yeah. Yeah.
For you.
Yep.
Okay. So that does give us essentially 2 months yet to get a little more information through the assessors and find out what Nick's committee may be able to do.
Yep.
As I recall the last meeting too, were you, Brian, or Liz going to contact Nick and ask him about this? Because I thought we talked about that and had mentioned that we're going to try to find out something about how much they would or are willing to give, if anything. And we're sort of working in the dark a little bit, I think, until we get some idea from them what they might be willing to contribute to this or how they might want to work it.
Yeah, no, I do have a message into him, Hal. I just haven't connected with him yet.
Oh, okay.
And they probably are going to come back and say, well, how many people do you have on your
I
own?
know, right, yeah, right. And how
Chicken.
much do you want, right?
Yeah, he's definitely going to want some information, but that's okay.
That's okay. So Jeff, like, would you just need the names, like the
Yeah,
more?
so I think probably the best way would be, because I'm sure I've not seen Corinne's, I'm sure there's a database that has the people listed. There's more lists of, our list here is much shorter than what they get at the assessor's office. So I'm sure if the applicants were provided to Corinne, it's a list of 9 people, she'd be able to turn that out, rather quickly to say, this is who's getting what.
Probably would recognize him.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're right, Brian. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that's so smart, what one of you said. I think it makes sense to know as much as we can before we nail down our dollar amount. Because we're kind of, I think as Marianne said it, so it's kind of, we're kind of working with like half information. Like she started the analysis by understanding the relationship between the grant we would give and taxes owed, but we don't know the other missing piece, which is, well, what else is helping to defray the taxes owed?
That's a good point.
And then we could go to, I think then if we added another column and then we share that with Nick's group, I think we're giving them a lot of good data to make a decision.
Yeah, and then maybe we can even pinpoint what we're donating to various people based on the other assistance that maybe they're getting or assistance not getting.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. So this exercise would bring to light folks who should be getting others but aren't. Because like, look how many people didn't apply to this one because it's so hard to communicate when everyone's living in isolation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So, is it, so I guess we have two things to do. Should we do one and then meet, and then what do you guys, what's the right order of events here?
I think you should give the list to the assessor first.
Yep.
And then
Okay.
find out who's, who's getting further assistance. And then we can, and then you'll know, I think, a better idea as to how much to request from Nick's group off of that, knowing who's getting what from various things through the town.
Okay,
That's my suggestion, but whatever.
that's good to me. So could we communicate some of this stuff over email or do we need to meet? Like, I'm always unclear on that.
Well, I think Brian can send that over to Paul directly, right?
I can do that, yep, and then I can distribute it. We're probably gonna still want to set another meeting though to talk about it.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, 2 weeks or something like that. Mhm.
Yeah, let me look at the calendar. That sounds good. So, tell me, Brian, how regularly do they meet? Could we just, do they meet monthly, the Nick's group?
Sometimes they meet more regularly, but sometimes they'll go like two, maybe three, even 3 months if they don't have anything. Like right now, they have nothing pending, so they haven't met in a while. So
Oh,
you
okay.
kind of have to, sometimes you have to request a meeting if you want to talk to them or something.
Okay.
Brian, are you on that committee too, as a member of that committee?
I'm not a member, I'm just their administrative.
You administrator. What did you said send a message to Nick. What did you ask him?
Oh, I just said I wanted to talk to him about the taxation aid. That was it.
Okay.
I think it's probably better, once we get this information about the tax exempts, that then we go to him probably with a number. I think it's better to say, this is what
Yeah.
we've determined, this is what we've decided, and this is the number we would like to have, maybe your fund to help us out. Because then it's definite. It's not like, well, we have 9 people, we're not quite sure what we want, but we can go in with a definite number.
I agree.
Okay.
My opinion.
Yeah.
My opinion only.
Jeff, from the assessors, we'll find out whether they get a disability, veterans, any deferments. We'll get everything that since they don't have. Or will there be any other possibilities besides what goes through the assessors?
Yeah, right. So we'll get, so people will put in an application now, and then they're awarded or given the highest number. You don't get, you don't get them all.
Oh,
And then deferment's a totally different thing.
Mhm.
That's just not paying, you don't have to, pay the tax bill, but then it comes out of when you eventually sell the home, what's
Mhm.
owed back to the town. Brian, that's through his office. So,
Brian, we're not giving grants to people that are in that program, are we? Or are we? People who
No.
are deferring?
No,
But we could, right? I don't think we've had any applicants.
no, it's a very small pool.
Okay.
So none of them have crossed over.
Okay.
And I think there's a surviving spouse exemption too, Jeff.
sure, yes, yep.
Yeah.
And deferments they get crazy because you can do partial deferments.
Yeah,
Oh,
You can do them by quarter, you can do them by, 2 quarters. It's crazy on how you can, it's not all or nothing. So those get a little ugly and they're not, it's not as cut and dry. But to answer your question, Hal, yes, we would know if they're getting senior disability or veterans based on the dollar amount.
Okay.
And that's something Corinne would also be able to specify as well, because it's all.
She sounds like a super valuable resource. Yeah. She basically
Yes,
has
yes.
a pulse on everything. Okay.
She's very organized. She's done a great job. Cindy McLeod used to do that. Cindy was terrific, and then Corinne came in. Paul's been really lucky that
Yeah,
he,
he's been real lucky. You're right.
yeah, he's had outstanding people work there, and he loves to take credit for training. He's just been real lucky.
Yeah.
But
No, she'll turn it around and I bet you if I ask her, she'll have it within an hour.
right, yeah, she's amazing, amazingly efficient and excellent. So. And willing to help, which is great. It's not a,
Great.
yeah,
We're getting I mean, it's been so great having Marianne and Hal join us because I feel like you've taken us to the next level of making this more well thought out and formal. So yeah, it's awesome. It's great.
There were no tax tax work-offs this year, tax work-offs where you could get the $1,500. That no one had that this year at all.
right.
No,
I didn't think so.
unfortunately.
So we'd be getting information on the disability and veterans. Okay.
And senior.
Senior,
Senior, you said senior disability?
no,
Well,
just
it's separate
senior.
things.
Okay.
There's also a legally blind.
Oh, yeah, legally blind too.
Legally blind.
I forgot about that one.
There was one person who said that they had an eye something or other, so I don't know if they're legally blind or whatever, an eye condition, but yeah. Well, I'm sure if you say anything in that exemption, she'll give it all to you, correct? She'll just, yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Because I think what she'll do is just take the list that's provided to her and just see what credits are under that person and just list whatever they are and how much.
right.
Okay.
Okay. So when do you guys want to meet to discuss it all? Do we do it next week? Do we do it the week after?
Trying to think it's up to you guys, I guess. I'm pretty open to either. It's
Are
up to-
you in the middle of a bunch of stuff or is this a quieter time for you with meetings?
This is good for me on a Wednesday. At
Yeah.
4:30. Yeah,
Okay, let's look at next Wednesday.
March 31st.
Yeah, Wednesdays are fine, usually fine for me, Wednesday afternoons.
Next Wednesday looks great.
Can you believe that's the last day of the month? Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put it in for March 31st. 21.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 5. Exactly.
Second.
And the second, Brian.
All right. Well, I guess we're good to go. We should probably, I think I've seen committees doing roll calls to just end the meeting.
Oh.
So
Oh,
probably should do that. I never,
how do you do that? Everyone says their name?
yeah, you just say, Brian, I, and then just go through the list real quick.
You said it was gonna be, you wanted it, I meant 5 or 4?
30.
Meeting.
I was gonna stick with the 4:30 if that's okay.
Okay,
That's what we,
That's fine with me.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Should people do a roll call at the beginning of the meeting too?
No, just at the end.
Stuff, just at the end. All right.
It's technical stuff, but.
Yeah, I'm learning. All right. Elizabeth Kesselman, aye.
Mary Ann Anderson, I.
L.I.
Jeff, aye.
And I'm I too. Okay, thanks.
Great. See you
Have a
next
good
week.
night, guys.
Thanks, you too. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Eric, bye-bye.
Okay.